It started without a headline. On April 10th, 2025, thousands of pages of raw FBI documents quietly appeared online. No press conference, no Justice Department statement, no coordinated leak to the New York Times, just a slow, silent drop, noticed only by those who were already watching. The post began appearing on X. Crossfire Hurricane docs just got dumped. Dig, dig, dig. John Solomon's on it. The FBI just released everything. The mainstream media didn't cover it, not with the same intensity, not with the urgency they gave the original lie. When the story breaks against their narrative, they bury it. But what dropped was nothing short of historic. The full internal record of Crossfire Hurricane, declassified and released without fanfare, years after the story was already written in the public's mind. It wasn't just receipts, it was the hard drive. Not cherry-picked emails, not hand-picked summaries, not sanitized talking points. This was the raw archive, the full internal memory of the operation, the stuff they never meant for the public to see, the kind of release that tells you not just what happened, but how they made it happen. And what was in those files didn't match the official history. Not in tone, not in timing, and certainly not in truth. The real record contradicted the press narrative at every turn. What we were told was confirmed intelligence looks a lot more like backfilled guesswork once you read what the FBI actually wrote down. One memo revealed that Christopher Steele, the man whose dossier became the spine of the FBI's case, admitted to the Bureau that he hadn't even heard of Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, or Michael Cohen before being hired. That might seem like a passing detail, but it raises a serious problem. How could his reporting have verified anything if he didn't even know who the subjects were? We'll come back to why that matters more than they ever admitted. The investigation wasn't built around credible leads, it was backfilled by names. The only name Steele knew was Paul Manafort, and he told the FBI that Manafort got the whole thing started. To be clear, Steele wasn't referring to the FBI's investigation. He meant his own decision to begin compiling the dossier. What triggered it wasn't classified intelligence or insider access. It was Manafort's name in the news. As Trump's campaign chairman, Manafort had already become a magnet for media attention due to his past work advising pro-Russian Ukrainian politicians. His ties to foreign lobbying efforts were public knowledge, controversial, and tailor-made for suspicion. That was enough for Steele to view him as the entry point to something bigger. So when he told the FBI Manafort got the whole thing started, he meant that's where his imagination and his investigation began. The case, as far as Steele was concerned, began with what looked scandalous, not with what was verified. Another document confirmed that Steele's primary subsource, Igor Danchenko, was in direct contact with Clinton insider Charles Dolan during the time he was feeding content into the dossier. Dolan wasn't some anonymous source, he was a PR operative with ties to the campaign that stood to benefit from the investigation. Then came the insights from inside the Kremlin. Danchenko's report said Russian officials viewed Trump not as a collaborator, but as a chaos candidate, someone they could exploit to destabilize Washington, not someone they controlled. One memo revealed that their goal was to influence young, disillusioned American voters, not to elect Trump, but to cause division. The FBI had this information. And yet, the narrative of Trump-Russia collusion moved forward anyway. Early FBI contact reports also showed the Bureau's meetings with Steele lacked substance. No vetting, no validation, no challenge to his claims. They treated his memos as intelligence, even when they read like opposition research. What happened next was inevitable, but to understand how Crossfire Hurricane was allowed to begin, how a partisan fantasy was formalized into federal surveillance, we have to go back to where it started, not with the files, not with the dossier, but with the team and with a text, July 31st, 2016. Inside FBI headquarters, Peter Strzok sent a message to Lisa Page. Damn, this feels momentous. Because this matters, because this matters. With that, Crossfire Hurricane was born. It wasn't a response, it was a mission. The official paperwork shows that an investigation into 4 Trump campaign figures, Page, Papadopoulos, Flynn, and Manafort, was opened that day. But the energy inside the Bureau didn't reflect procedural caution. It was something else entirely. Peter Strzok wasn't just any agent. He had been deeply involved in the Clinton email investigation, texting openly with Page about Trump being an idiot, a menace, a threat. Page, his colleague and romantic partner, was a DOJ liaison who kept him in the loop on internal strategy. They weren't neutral. They were engaged. Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, who had overseen sensitive operations, overruled concerns from Bill Priestap and Michael Steinbach, senior FBI officials who warned against giving Strzok command of the case. They said he was too biased, too close to Page, too unstable. McCabe installed him anyway. This wasn't an oversight. It was a deployment. The team was built, not assigned. Strzok would run the investigation. Page would insulate it. McCabe would protect it. And the mission would proceed without the one thing required to justify it: verified intelligence. At this point, there was no Steele dossier, no confirmed foreign intercepts, no recordings of campaign staff cutting deals with foreign governments. There were only assumptions and the will to act on them. Inside the Bureau, the mood was tense. Trump was gaining ground. Clinton's investigation was becoming a liability. And for a core group of FBI insiders, the idea of Trump winning wasn't just unthinkable, it was unacceptable. Strzok wasn't hiding it. Page wasn't hiding it. Their messages would later reveal everything. But in this moment, July 31st, it was still quiet, still internal, still covert. Crossfire Hurricane was opened on paper. But what it would become, an operation that would shape the election, define a presidency, and collapse under its own contradictions, was still forming. The case was open, the team was in place, but the evidence, that was still to come. And when it did, it would come from the outside, from Steele, from Dolan, from leaks, from fiction. The next chapter wouldn't be about discovery, it would be about construction. Next, episode 2, The Tip That Triggered Nothing.